I don't think I've paid attention to a game install this much my entire life. It's almost time. Let's go! Yo, what up, Russ here? And in case you've been living under a rock, you might have heard about this little game. Not a big deal, you know, just the biggest anime game to come out in the last, I don't know, almost decade and a half. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has been out. I've been playing it quite a bit, so let's talk about it. It has been 17 years, almost 2 decades since the last Budokai Tenkaichi game has came out. And in case you didn't know, this is the successor to that series of games. And this time around, they changed the name to Sparking. Sparking was the actual name of the Japanese versions of the game way back in the day. I guess they're just trying to rebrand it to make it fit that whole pantheon of games. Now, why is it called Zero? If I know, like, honestly, like, I guess because it's like a soft reboot, that's my best guess. I have no idea. But because of that, this game has a lot to live up to. Did they live up to the expectations that a lot of us had with this one? Let's get into it. So when you boot up the game, you're going to be greeted with this really nice pre-rendered video, kind of like how the old games were, to really get you hyped to play the game. It's really cool. The only downside is, one, they kind of just overlay the super anime music over top of it, which is cool, but it doesn't really seem to fit all that much. And also, it only plays once. It never plays again after you see it the first time. At least I haven't found a way to play it again. So that kind of is lame. But besides that, you're greeted to a really fancy main menu, with Goku and his friends doing various different things. And as you switch between menus, Goku hops from place to place, flying, teleporting, all that stuff. And I really appreciate the detail they did with these menus. Although the fact that they're so detailed and have moving parts in them, it can be kind of slow to move between them sometimes. I've had a couple of hiccups in the loading between the screens. There are several different modes that you're actually faced with. So you have episode battle, which is the game's main single player content. It encompasses story mode and also bonus battle. You have your battle and training mode, challenges and missions, which are basically just in-game achievements that you acquire as you play through the game. And as you do different things, you earn different titles and small items and stuff like that. Shop and customization mode, where you can buy characters, costumes, music, all sorts of stuff. In gallery mode, you have a theater, which allows you to view different replays that you've saved, your data, which is basically all your stats, you know, your player level, your online rank level, the characters you've used the most, different damage counts, all that types of stuff. And then the encyclopedia, which is back again. The previous games have had this, lets you look at the 3D models of the characters and gives you a little insight into what they are if you don't already know. And even still, if you do know, the banter that the women give is kind of hilarious. Sometimes outright disrespectful. Chi-Chi especially.
A blue-haired punk.
Damn!
Who's this supposed to be?
Bruh.
Who's this? What a total narcissist. What a hussy.
Oh my God, Chi-Chi, chill. But jumping into episode battle, here is where a lot of your time is probably going to be spent if you're a single player person like me. Initially, this mode follows a story of 7 different characters, and you play through the Z and Super stories through their perspective. And these stories are pretty beefy. It can take a couple hours to get through each one individually, with Goku obviously being the longest one because he does the most shit. You'll go through classic battles of the Z story and the Super story. No GT or original Dragon Ball in this one, at least not yet. But the way this is laid out does leave room for possible DLC stories if they decide to do that. Basically, this whole thing is just a giant trail of nodes that you progress through. And you have, of course, the mainline story, but also there are a ton of branching paths in everyone's story mode. And these are your what ifs. These what ifs can be triggered by doing various different things within a certain battle, whether it be finishing with a certain maneuver, beating the enemy when you're really just meant to survive them, which is the special condition 99% of the time, if we're being honest. Although they're not clear till you actually beat the fight the normal way, then you unlock the bonus story. There are a lot of them. Goku has the most, and Goku has the most detailed ones as well. A lot of these kind of aren't really worth the effort, if you ask me. I don't want to spoil too many of them. And I don't want to show too much because some of them are really cool with what they do. But a lot of the what ifs are just like, okay, the character won instead of lost, so the day is saved now. That's what a lot of them boil down to, which is kind of just lame. But there are the ones that are worth that'll get you a whole different story arc. I think Trunks is another one. Trunks is another one that's really good. That'll take up a lot of your time. But if we check out the other option that's within this mode, custom battle. Now this is where the longevity of this game is probably going to be determined if you're not an online player. This mode is going to pretty much be where the rest of your game to play time is going to be at. Here is where you're allowed to create your own custom scenarios as well as play other people's. Essentially, it's a player creation mode that you've seen in a ton of other games like Mario Maker, Little Big Planet, stuff like that. Here, you make your own little scenario between certain characters, you have your clear conditions, and you put it out there for the world to enjoy. You can get pretty in-depth with the creator in this thing. I didn't mess with it too much because that's just not my steez, but going through and playing a lot of other people's creations, you can really make a pretty intriguing little scenario, you know, minus the no voice acting and some of the weird, you know, camera cuts. But other than that, like, this mode is actually pretty fun, and a lot of people create some pretty cool scenarios. Like, what if the proteges of Goku and Vegeta fought each other? Oh,
try my best.
Okay, this is what we're doing.
You're fighting a real.
And he got health back. Oh my. I forgot he had another transformation.
I'll hit you with everything I've got.
Just go ahead and kill me now. Please just think. Okay. And you can sort these things through multiple different ways. The newest ones, the hardest ones, which ones are the most popular. Now, with any player created content, you know, you're going to have some duds. You're going to have stuff that's not entirely fair, but at the same time, that's probably the point. Is my health decreasing? It sure is. And he's getting his back. Oh. And there's also times where the clear conditions aren't really clear at all. That's one thing that does kind of suck. A lot of times it's not clear on what you're supposed to be doing to like finish. Of course, you have your battle mode where you can just select several fighters and go to a location and fight against the computer, do CPU versus CPU. So if you want to bet on that stuff, you can. Or if you want to do local co-op, this game has it. Although it's only on the hyperbolic time chamber at the making of this video. Hopefully more stages will be added. You have your world tournament, which is host to a variety of different world tournaments. You got your classic world tournament with the ring out. So don't be, if you were scared there were no ring outs, there are. Sometimes they're pretty dumb. I will say that. I swear there was one time where the AI hit the ground before I did, but I got counted as a ring out.
I gotta say, that was a pretty fun fight.
Man, you, Goku. The AI can still do some dumb stuff. If you played the old Tenkaichi games, you know the AI could run right out of bounds at the very start of a match. But you also got the Cell games, the other world tournament, Tournament of Destroyers, which is new, Tournament of Power, and the Yamcha games are back, actually.
Welcome to my Tournament of Might. Tackle the mighty Yamcha if you dare.
Do you care to repeat that, sir? Each tournament has its own set of rules and restrictions, but you can also create your own set of rules and play with those. Now, both battle and world tournament modes are online and offline. Online battle mode is where you're going to find your player matches and your ranked matches. Your player matches are where you can just go up against anybody, and your ranked matches are, of course, you know, where you go up against people with similar skill level and try to go up through the ranks. The few matches I played online worked pretty well. I didn't experience any kind of serious connection issues. Input delay seem to be pretty minimal, but you're gonna have to learn the game in order to really make a dent in online ranked, especially. I've heard people talking about how the game is really unbalanced. That's kind of the point of this game. This game is not meant to be a balanced competitive fighter like that. It's supposed to be a fun game, just like the old ones were. The old ones were unbalanced as all hell, but they were still fun to play. There's a reason why the characters have rankings and point values in DP mode. There's a reason for that. Now, you could argue, why is there a ranked mode in a game that's not balanced? I mean, if they didn't have it, a lot more people would complain. It's kind of like a necessary thing to have in modern games. So, it's in there, and you just kind of have to deal with the bullshit. That leads me to talk about the actual combat and presentation of this game. So, getting into the actual main thing that you're going to be doing in this game, which is beating ass. Needless to say, they've captured the overall essence of the old BT games. Now, as I say that, just because you played the old games doesn't mean you're going to be a master at this one. For the love of God, when you turn this game on, go to the battle training. Learn how this game is played, because if you don't, you won't have to worry about getting messed up online. The AI will mess your shit up for you regardless. The AI in this game is kind of ridiculous if you don't know what you're doing. These guys are nothing to play with. Jesus Christ. Do you quit ever? Holy shit, boo, damn. You just want to throw hands all damn day. Typically, if your character is supposed to be stronger than the person you're fighting, then the battle will generally be pretty easy. But if you're weaker, which is kind of a lot of the time, you might have a little trouble. Everybody was complaining about Grade 8 Vegeta. I mean, regular Vegeta was kind of a pain in the ass. Grade 8 Vegeta, yeah, he was an issue. My main problem came from Frieza.
Time for sudden death.
All right. Let's retry that again. Ow. He's beating my ass. Okay, I don't like that already. This isn't working. Oh my God, he just turned the f up. Jesus Christ. And you know, the biggest menace of all time. No! God! Do I have to win, or am I just lasting? Reduce his health. Good. It's just wonderful.
Leave it to win. Only to test your
Oh
limits.
my God, how'd you recover so fast? Oh my God, I've done like no damage to him whatsoever. Jesus Christ. Well, they kept that part the same. So yes, please go and learn the game. Just because it captures the essence of the old games doesn't mean it plays like it. Things have kind of changed a bit. First thing being the control scheme. Now you have an option of using the new standard controls or classic controls, which are the controls ripped straight from Tenkaichi with a few modifiers here and there. I went back and forth between classic and standard. I found myself always wanting to play classic because of the instinct and the legacy skill, I guess. But the standard controls seem to make a lot more sense for this game because of all the different maneuverability and options they give you. It just seems like the buttons are mapped better on that control scheme. Eventually, I got used to that scheme and stuck with it. So that's my recommendation. Either start with the regular controls or try to get used to them if you coming from the old Tenkaichi games. With that being said, this game introduces a lot of different combat abilities over Tenkaichi, even over the Rage and Blast games. While most of the offensive options carry over from the previous game, you know, you still have your heavy smashes, all your chain combos are pretty much the same. How you link combos together still kind of works the same as in previous games, but there are a lot more defensive options this time around, and you need to learn them in order to actually be able to do anything in this game. Because if you get caught and you can't get out of it, you're done. You're done. It's over. It's over. You got your traditional vanishes, your blocking, high and low blocking. The sonic sway is back again, although it works a little bit differently this time around. But on top of that, you have perception, you have super counters, which is probably the biggest thing that you need to learn in this game. There's a lot of choices on how to get out of stuff here, and a lot of it's pretty tight on the timing, and you need to get used to it. Basically, they took what was worked in Tenkaichi and Rage and Blast and just greatly expanded the defensive part of it, which is good because I felt like in Tenkaichi especially, defense was kind of hard to play. While some of this stuff was in that game, again, the timing was very, very, very strict. Raging Blast, while some of that stuff is in that too, timing was a bit more lenient. And I feel like the timing here is a bit between Raging Blast and Tenkaichi. It's not as strict as Tenkaichi was, but it's not as forgiving as Raging Blast is, so it's kind of in the middle here, but it's appreciative to see that you have different options on how to get out of stuff once you learn how to do it. So with 182 characters being in the game, how many of them are carbon copies? Well, As far as a basic combo, yeah, everybody has the same input, but that's kind of where it stops. Every character is pretty unique in what they can do. The way you execute those things are the same across the board, you know, more or less. It might be different timing, like one person's heavy smash might be after like 3 punches instead of 4 or something like that. But the button inputs are the same across the board. But not everybody has access to the same stuff, and it's kind of scaled between like how weak and strong a character is. Like a lot of the weaker characters don't have access to as many offensive capabilities, such as chaining forever and a day, or, you know, certain rush downs or certain dashes, as opposed to the high power characters like Gogeta, UI, Goku, all those guys. So even though there are a lot of characters, you do have to go in and learn the characters that you want to play, because they may or may not have access to different things. And you need to know that before you try it, and you end up sitting there looking like an idiot because you thought you could do something and you really can't. In that aspect, that was really kind of surprising that every character is different. You're not wildly different in terms of, okay, everybody's like has different inputs that you have to work on, but they are different from each other. You can't just one for one translate using one character to another most of the time. But with that being said, fighting in this game is a lot of fun, despite, you know, how difficult the difficulty curve can be at the start. Once you get used to learning that stuff, and you get used to how movement works and the combat and the flow of combat, I had a lot of fun playing this, going in, trying to get combos off, flying around, learning different characters. I really enjoyed myself. And considering that fighting is going to be what you're doing most of the time, it's a good thing to know that the fighting is a lot of fun. And again, most of this was offline fighting. The online fighting, like I said, I'm very trash compared to other people. I admit that. I am willing to admit that. I don't have a big ego that I don't need to. I'm not trying to stroke here. But even still, like, I was having fun with it. And every day I just kept wanting to come back and pull off more combos and play different characters. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from this video that you should have, is that regardless of what mode you're playing, the game is fun, regardless. Going through the next couple of modes here, the shop, where you can buy a whole bunch of outfits and ability capsules to equip all your characters, as well as buy characters, which is one thing I will give this game credit for. Every character is attainable. You can buy every character in the shop if you want to. As you play the game, you will acquire enough money to buy these characters outright. You can also just unlock them by playing the game too, by completing story missions, by doing different things within a fight itself. You'll unlock characters. Like, by the time I finished all the story mode, I think I only had to buy the movie characters and some of the GT stuff, mainly like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And the rest of the money I could have spent toward music, costumes, which the music in this game is great. I love it. All right. So I need to retroactively gush about this soundtrack just a little bit, because I did not do it nearly enough justice. And when I recorded this video, I went and did a little homework and basically listened to this whole soundtrack in like a single day. And yo, this shit is fucking flames, dog. There's like 100 some odd tracks, and I think I favorited about 40 of them. I have never done that before, ever, like at all. This soundtrack honestly feels like it reaches across the whole entire pantheon of like Dragon Ball games, period. But every track is just so good. Like, even if I don't necessarily want to listen to it like nonstop like that, I can't say a single track in this whole entire game is bad, bro. From just the generic background music to the special themes, like the character themes that they made for this game, bro. Off the top of my head right now, Kale and Caulifla. Gohan. Great Saiyan Man. Even the shop music, like, come on. So credit to Mr. Takanori Arima. I hope I'm saying that right. And that whole team, y'all deserve some Grammys for real. If this is not nominated for like Game Awards or some type of something, this whole music team just got robbed. And considering this dude worked on Budokai Tenkaichi 2 back in the day, it makes sense why it sounds very, very similar in some aspects. But he did not let the past pigeonhole him. He went above and beyond, and I am for one very, very grateful for his contributions. Now I just want to get back to playing the game again so I can listen to more of this stuff. All the costumes in this game look cool, which I guess this will lead into talking about the presentation of the game a little bit. The costumes in this game they have are cool, although they are missing some iconic fits. The one I really was missing was Krillin with the hair and the red shirt and the tan training pants from the Buu Saga. Where is that fit at? That is like, for me, that's like Krillin's best fit. Of all time. That's his best outfit. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that. I'd rather have that than a weird ass haircut he had in Resurrection F. This game really takes the anime aesthetic this time around, more akin to what Raging Blast did back in the day. The first one, definitely not the second one. The second one, I don't know what the they were doing. But this game looks really, really good in terms of overall character models, their faces. That's definitely a different point of contention. Yo, who the is that? But the overall character models look great. The effects on every punch, kick, charge, aura, energy blast, all that is just amazing. The effects on blasting people through buildings is crazy. Like, this game just looks really, really good, especially in motion. Now, when you stop it, there's some times when it can look a little off. You know, some of the models don't look great at some angles. Even in some of the cutscenes that are in the story mode, they look like bobbleheads. Of course, they have that one mouth moving animation where your lips don't enunciate the words. So it's just flapping all crazy. But that's from the previous games as well. So I'm not surprised about that. A lot of us saw this selection screen in the early previews of the game and thought maybe it's just for the preview. No, it turns out it's in the real game. My personal opinion, I don't like it. I don't really care for it. While it is nice to have everything just out and available to see, there are way too many characters to be trying to move through. And considering how many transformations there are, it's kind of cumbersome to get through. And characters that maybe only have one slot, it's easy to miss them a lot of the time, unless you just really remember where they are. I've missed characters so many different times and it's gotten frustrating sometimes. I wish that was cleaned up a bit. Just keep a character and then have their transformations on a separate screen, kind of like they used to do it. I'm also wondering what was the idea behind making like half these characters smirk all the time? Like, what does Gohan possibly have to smirk for? Some other small grievances, the camera kind of sucks sometimes, but given how crazy the movement can be in this game, I saw it coming, but that still doesn't excuse that sometimes it can really f you up. There was a time I glitched through the world, so that was fun. The cinematic camera can be a little funky. What the fuck? Those are minor nitpicks. I haven't run into anything that was like game breaking, I'd say. This game has been pretty smooth for the most part throughout my entire time playing it. This game has definitely knocked it out of the park in terms of capturing the essence of the old BT games and bringing them into a modern gaming era. Whether that be good or bad to you is up to you. Should you go out and get this game? If you are a fan of Dragon Ball, yes. If you're a fan of the Budokai Tenkaichi games, yes, absolutely. This is a no-brainer. You should have already gotten this game by this point. But outside of those two things, is this a game to pick up for somebody that's not into Dragon Ball, not into anime fighters or arena fighters like that? That's where it gets kind of hard. I don't know what this game is going to do for you if you're kind of written off those types of games. Out of the Naruto Storm games, My Hero and JJK, this is definitely the best one. And to be honest, this is the series that kind of really jump-started all of that. I would say it's different enough to where I feel like you should give it a try. If you've seen gameplay of it and it looks interesting to you, I'd say they would give it a try as well. But if you're coming here looking for a competitive, balanced fighting game, that's not what this is. You need to get that out of your mind. You come to this game to have a fun time, understanding that certain characters are just stronger than others. But the high speed and intensity of the combat in this game is really what's doing something for you. In terms of like single player content, to be honest, there's not as much of it as there have been in other games. You have the story mode, the world tournament, and the bonus battle mode. That's really it. So your mileage is going to come out of how quickly or how thorough you are with the story mode, how much you just like fighting random battles, and how much you really find enjoyment out of the bonus battle mode. And also if they do DLC with this game, which they have done DLC for this game. Why are you selling me music on the day of release? Anyway, so yeah, that's something you got to think about. I think this is one of those games that if it looks fun, give it a try. Don't write it off because it's a Dragon Ball game. Don't write it off because it's an anime game, because despite that, there's a lot more to it than like the surface level, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. If you've played it, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you have, what do you think about it? What's your favorite thing about the game? What do you dislike about the game? I want to know what your thoughts are out there. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me in this video. Appreciate you for making it to the end of it. If you like this type of content and want to see more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm Russ, practically out. Later.